drives over to the attacking zone, sends it across, and that's a goal! First goal for the Liberty Flames of the 2024-25 season. This is going to now back here in their offensive zone. The penalty is over. Graham takes it straight to Hoopers. They take another good shot. This one sends it up by Graham and is tapped in by Adam Hennigan. His first goal as a Liberty Flame, first collegiate goal for the freshman from Santa in this period, not letting the Flames just time on them in their offensive zone. They now having to work a little bit more for it. Matley sends it up to Graham. Has Badger with him.
So I grew up in Chatham, Kent, Ontario, up in Canada. Hockey became a part of my life, I think, because my dad loved the sport so much that he had me in skates at the early age of probably 3 years old, and it was not long after that that I had a hockey stick in my hands too. Just growing up playing the sport, doing it as a family is a huge blessing. Hockey is one of those sports growing up that I'm sure most people probably know doesn't really have the best rep of just developing really good charactered people. So growing up, you get to see a lot of different environments and a lot of different sides of people like that. Growing up sort of a Christian guy, it was kind of tough making the transition from middle school to high school and going on in years like that, because faith was always a part of my life, whether it was in the background at some points in my life and stuff like that. So growing up, it was kind of hard to fit in at some point, so the transition of wanting to be a part of the team and wanting to be a part with the guys and stuff like that, it was hard at times, but I was able to get through it knowing the Lord was on my side. Even at times when I neglected Him, He got me through it. The transition of playing hockey from kind of like childhood era into more high school was a tough one, because once I hit high school, I found I really started to struggle with things like seeking external validation from people. I really wanted to fit in high school. I really craved attention, wanting to be Mr. Popular. But no matter how much at the end of the day, even though sometimes I did get the attention for people, and the times I was liked, the times I wasn't liked, no matter what, at the end of the day, it left me feeling kind of empty. I still felt like I really had nothing going for me, so no matter how much I kind of tried in that area, it really left me feeling empty at the end of the day. These struggles were definitely something that I endured throughout my whole high school kind of career, I would say. They weren't really something that left me, and sometimes still things I struggle with today, but it really affected me in a lot of ways, because I would wake up, I'd go to school, and I would set my identity and what other people thought of me, and how I was recognized by other people rather than recognized through God. And now I'm at the point where I can realize that, you know, I am who God says I am, which is awesome. But at the time, I never really knew what that was like. So I would wake up in the morning just kind of feeling empty, being like, okay, today's mood is going to be based off what other people think of me. And at the end of the day, when it's just me and my own thoughts, I'd be kind of left by myself and realizing, like, I don't really have much going for me. Whether I was playing high-level hockey or whether I was fitting in with different people, I would just try to fit in with anyone I really could, and a lot of that led me down to paths that I wish I could take back now, decisions that I also wish I could take back. Through all these own personal struggles that I kind of had, it was probably around Christmas of my grade 11 year in high school, was when my mom started to just be really sick around the house, and she never really showed it to us at home, my younger brother and I. She was always super strong for both of us. Never at all growing up did she ever show us any of her struggles. She was really probably the strongest person that I knew and still know to this day. I still haven't met anyone like her, whether it was the smile she carried around the house or carried around out in public, or the way she was able to walk in a room and just light up the entire environment of the room. There's no one else I really met that can do that like she did. It was around my Christmas of my grade 11 year high school where we found out she was diagnosed with cancer. And on top of all these own other struggles that I had, this one really just kind of put me in an even deeper spot than I've ever been at in my entire life. So I didn't know what to do. I still remember being in the living room, coming home from being out with my friends, and my dad being there, and he was just bawling his eyes out. I didn't know what was wrong. My mom wasn't home at the time. I just kind of asked him as where he dropped the news on me that she had unfortunately been diagnosed with cancer. And for the first week, 2 weeks, even month, the news never really set in with me. I never really believed it or anything like that. And, it's just such an unbelievable event, and I still feel for my little brother and my dad and just all of us. It's just really hard what we went through. But the crazy part through it all is that my mom never showed any of the struggle. She kept fighting and fighting without showing any pain to any of us around the house. No matter what sporting event my brother and I, had through high school, she was at all of them. Whether she had just finished some chemo treatment or anything like that, she was always showing up, supporting us through it all. And I remember it was my grade 12 year of high school. We were at a basketball tournament, and my brother had just gotten the call up to play with us on the senior team. And this was about a month before my mom had unfortunately passed away to cancer. So my brother got the first call up to play, and then my mom was there watching. She came straight from the hospital when she found out that my younger brother had gotten the call, and she was at the game. And little do we know, a month later we were going to unfortunately lose her to the cancer. It just shows the kind of person who she was and how much she loved her family, and there's really no one else that I know like her. It was March of my grade 12 year, almost 2 years ago now, where my brother and I had just finished a church hockey game actually. We had just finished the game and we were on our way home when we had gotten a call from our dad saying that he was on the way to the hospital in London. And usually my brother and I, we were kind of, at least I know myself, I was very self-centered. Even for all that my mom did for me, I kind of neglected all of that and kind of just focused on my own thing. And there was so many times that I wish I could take back to where I would have visited her more. I would have spent more time with her, because I know if I was the one that was sick, she never would have left my side. So it's things like that that I wish I could get back, just knowing that you never know what moment could be anybody's last. But I remember that night anyways, where we got the call and I just felt this weird conviction to go to the hospital with them. So my brother and I, we got home, hopped in the car with our dad, and just absolutely booked it straight to the hospital. And unfortunately, when we got there, I still remember it like it was yesterday. When we got up to the hospital rooms where she was being taken care of, she was unresponsive. So that's still something that sits with me, as I never really got any last words in with my mom, to where she was able to just hear what I had to say even, and how much I would have loved to take so many things back, and how I wish I could have treated her better. So many things like that I wish I could have done better. I wish I could take back to this day, and it still resonates with me. So going forward, it's one of those things you just want to take care of people, really be intentional with people, because I know that's how my mom lived her life. She cared for people and she loved for people. So one thing I want to do is I want to try and do my best to carry on how she would have wanted me to live my life, and how she would have lived her life for others if she was still here. So through the loss of my mom, obviously my family and I, we tried to stay close-knit together through it all, but obviously she was the core foundation of our family, I would say. She was the one that kept us all super close together. So obviously with her passing, it was very hard for us to stay together, and some ties were obviously drawn a little tighter. It was kind of tough for us to stay together without her. We still loved each other throughout. It was just hard at times because our kind of foundation was gone. I got saved in grade 7. Just to neglect my faith kind of in high school, like I talked about. I kind of put Christ in the background, and this was another time that made it even harder to just hold on to God. But I remember the night my mom passed, it was probably around 3 in the morning when we saw all 3 pastors from that church that we had just finished playing church hockey at. It was 3 in the morning when all of them came to the hospital to just be with my younger brother, my dad, and I. And never would you find regular people that would do something like that. That was clearly God trying to show his love and compassion for us through it all, just to show us that there are genuinely good people there that are driven through God's love and that want to showcase God's love with other people. So that was kind of just God showing us how much he does care for us as people, even though it's hard to see it. But when they showed up, they comforted us, they prayed for us during the hardest time of our lives, and what probably will be the hardest still going forward. But as we continued on after that, it was really still hard to get plugged into the church, but there's so many amazing families through our local church back home that kept reaching out. We're dropping off meals to the family. There was one family in particular that they were always in my younger brother and I's ears, just about things, checking in how we are, making sure we're okay, inviting us over for dinner, inviting us over for workouts, knowing we were hockey players. So we got very plugged in with them. Their names were Andrew and Stacy McCombs. So Andrew and Stacy constantly were in my brother and I's lives, kind of taking on like a good parental role figure for us through the grieving process for my family. They knew it was a hard time for all of us, for our dad included. It's very hard for him, as him and my mom were very close. So they really did a great job of taking my brother and I in, and we spent more time with them throughout the grieving process, and they thankfully were the ones that were able to get us more connected with the church back home, which was super awesome. And through that, I was able to really draw back into my own faith. Just over this past kind of summer, I would say, was when I really drew back into my own faith, and God kind of grasped back onto me, which I'm very thankful and very blessed for, as it's not very often you'll find someone that's able to turn back around in their faith like that. So I know God kept his loving, caring hand over me, and I know my mom was watching over me as well. So it was super cool to see God work in the craziest of situations, knowing that he just has real and genuine love for us, and he definitely showcased it through awesome people like the McCombs. So the closer we got with them, found out they attended a school called Liberty University, and I had never heard of a school like that before, and they just talked so highly of the place. And this past year I was attending a school back home, and so through it all I was like, okay, you know what, like maybe I will go check the place out. And they're like, they got a hockey team, they got a hockey camp and stuff like that. They're like, you should go at least try for the prospects camp. And at first I was like, no way. And then months go by, and I'm feeling this weird conviction to go for a prospects camp at Liberty University all the way in Virginia. And being from small town Chatham, I was just like, this is crazy. This is Chatham, you can drive from one end of the city and the other in 10 minutes. So it's like just super cool. I was like, you know what, why not? So my dad was super awesome. He was super excited for me that I decided to go to the camp. He took me to the camp, no problem, probably more excited than I was to come check the place out that Andrew and Stacy talked about. And we remember getting on campus, just absolutely blown away by everything. And it was clear that God used the different situations in my life personally to be able to get me to meet such a cool family and to be able to bring me to Liberty, so that I would be able to grow in my faith. And I thought I'd be coming here for just some sort of hockey opportunity, but it was clear that God's brought me here for so much more, to be able to grow in my walk with him and to be able to discover that purpose that I have that I was missing throughout high school and everything like that. He showcased his love for me, and that's something that I would hope to just give to other people. And God definitely used a family like the McCombs that have been so good to us, which has been so awesome. Coming to Liberty, I thought it would be much more of a hockey experience. I thought it'd be filling one of those external validations that I really sort of craved in high school, including last year, my first year university back home. I thought it'd be one of those things that'd get me a lot of attention from people that I grew up with back home, whether it was friends, family, just another way where I'd be able to be looked upon, another way to try and find purpose. But coming to Liberty, I realized God brought me here for so much more than just hockey. God taught me that I have purpose in who he calls me to be. And now that I've been at Liberty for almost a full year, it's so clear that God's brought me here to develop my own personal relationship with him and to be able to realize that my identity isn't in hockey. It's not in how much I'm liked by people. It's simply in who he calls me to be, and that's a child of God, and I know I'm loved by him. Being here at Liberty so far and being able to play has been such a blessing in its own. There's been so many cool memories along the way, and it just being my rookie season. I know there's so many other memories to be made. Obviously that first game, being able to put on the Liberty jersey, I remember the feelings just kind of rushing through me. His first college game, especially after almost taking a full year off of playing hockey. I remember putting on the jersey and just being like, whoa, like this is real. And I know everyone in the locker room was so happy for us too. It's not just the feelings that us rookies had or I personally had myself. It's just so cool to see everyone else so excited for us. That is really exciting to know that it's just a great group of guys to be able to make those memories with as well. Coming out of that first game, it was super cool to be able to do so. I personally had a good individual night, I'll say. Put up a couple points, and as then I continued to kind of ride the high that I grew up with in minor hockey when I played in high school, is that I was all about me and what numbers I was putting up. And that was kind of my huge focus of whenever I played hockey. So it was whenever I wasn't producing, my entire identity was just shot through the ground. It's like, you know, that's all I really had going for me, and now it's kind of gone. I looked at myself as a hockey player, not much more than that. And since being here, my mindset has changed now, thankfully, to where whether I put up good numbers, whether I don't, at the end of the day, I'm a child of God. Through the mindset change that God has given me, I've really been able to sort of establish new goals since being here at Liberty, whether it's moving forward in my hockey career, moving forward in life. I know especially in hockey, I want to be a player that other guys can look at, whether it's my own team or whether it's through others, and realize that, hey, you know, he's really not playing for his own selfish ambitions. He's playing to glorify God's name. He's playing for the guy next to him. And I hope in later years that I can do that and just be a good representative of Christ and just be a good steward of him, that other people can look at and realize, you know, that this guy, he doesn't need hockey. As much of it's a blessing to be able to play, and I'm super thankful for that, don't get me wrong. It's not something that, you know, I revolve my life in. And I hope other people can look at that and learn from that, because I know it's something I definitely struggled with, and there's been a lot of guys on our team this year that have helped me realize that my identity is not in hockey either. So going forward, I hope to be someone that, you know, teammates can look up to in that aspect, and I hope to be someone that people can learn from, and that some people can just know I'm here with open arms if they have any sort of struggles to go with, and hopefully I can point them to Christ. So now, after realizing that it wasn't really hockey that brought me here, it was more God moving through different circumstances and different situations in my life, I really hope to continue moving forward to just do all I do in glory of Him, especially because it's hard at times. It's hard more often than not. It's really hard to give it all up to Christ and to just trust in Him that He has a plan for me. But going forward, just take a deep breath, relax, and realize that He's already done so much in my life. He's brought me to such an amazing place like Liberty, where I've had the blessing of being able to meet so many cool people and to be able to grow in my relationship with Him. Going forward, I'm very excited to do that and see what else He has in store for me.
Scene 1, still, take 4.